my family has. We've seen this neighborhood go from what it was back in the 60s, early 60s. It gradually went down to where people didn't want to come in the neighborhood. They'd say, "Where you live?" And I'd tell them, and they'd say, "No, I don't want to come down there. That's a bad area." And I said, "No, it's not a bad area. I live there."
Urban agriculture. It's about resilience and becoming like resilient individuals, but also resilient communities. And so growing food in the urban environment absolutely has to happen if people are going to be resilient.
The way things are now, it doesn't work. It's not sustainable because people are getting sick from the food that we're eating and from producing the food that we're eating, actually.
You know, urban farming is great in a lot of ways, but like there's so much more land outside the city that's actually impacting the environment in a real way. I think the city's the social justice piece.
One of the neat things about urban agriculture, I think, is that it's really a creative way to utilize underutilized resources, or resources that are sitting available and are not being used to their max capacity. So be it land that's sitting vacant and properties that are otherwise not being used.
Big Muddy started out of a desire to have a CSA on an urban farm in Omaha.
This was the winter because it was cold when this was all happening, and conversations and who's gonna be on board and what are we calling this.
When Big Muddy started, there was 7 of us total. There was Allie Clark, Brent Lubert, Katie Kahi, Tyler Madison, James Lemieux, Dan Egan, and myself, Matt Cronin.
A group of us meeting in our living rooms and having coffee and tea and talking and dreaming about growing vegetables for our community and doing so on an urban farm.
And when we started, we didn't have anything. We definitely didn't have any money to contribute to this process. All we had was our will and our time and our ability to organize. Through that, we started a CSA before we technically even had the land.
I remember the piece of paper that was like listing all the things we needed or something. It was like land at the top.
I met Chris Foster and the Janisex, and so that's kind of one of the first people. I think I reached out to Chris just asking what they had available, and so they actually brought us to the site down at 33rd in California that's right in front of that, and it was a pretty heavy clay, barren landscape. And they had knocked down, because there was a house there, and it maybe had gotten bulldozed just a year before or something. And so that, I remember kind of being the first site, and it was really good because we knew we had that locked down. And, you know, we got the Sailor site kind of later. Fowler site was like in spring already. We were looking at that.
Yeah, we were super spread out that first year.
And again, all of this happened just by literally working our relationships and like just reaching out constantly to people, you know, hey, do you know anyone that has land we can use? Hey, do you know anyone where we could wash our produce? Hey, do you know? And really trying to do everything for free because we didn't have any capital or any money, like maybe like a little bit of startup funds, but.
And it was a really warm spring, I remember, because we couldn't have done it if it was like a cold spring. And we were digging in the ground in February already. It ended up being a drought year.
The drought was hard. That was the worst drought since the Dust Bowl.
And it was a challenge because we all had other jobs. We all had other things going on. So it was everyone just like squeezing this in to their kind of what they were already doing.
Yeah, we had to learn to do different things that we weren't as apt with. I think it also helped us clarify our individual passions. It definitely helped reinforce my understanding that education is at the heart of what I want to do, at least around urban agriculture.
Big Muddy Urban Farm, I was so proud to share the story as it developed with people that I met, and just really had a lot of ownership of the process and learned an immense amount about how to grow vegetables and how to connect it with the consumer and the community.
Good discussions, you know, like, and since there was 7, 8 of us at times, it took time to hear everyone and what their opinions were and what their thoughts were. And
Need to think about what's actually going to be worth my time, but it's super important, and especially when you're balancing multiple things and working with other people and, you know, finding ways to grow the crops that are going to fit the way your life works, and working with animals and how that fits in with your schedules and stuff.
I'm much better at being able to make commitments that are appropriate.
Like, you can go back to Big Muddy and say, well, that was like the beginning of farming for me out on my own. And I wasn't doing it on my own, but it was like a step toward, like, I'm growing things, I'm interacting with people, customers who are coming to like get food from me. That was my first experience of doing that. Like, this is food I grew it with other people.
Before Big Muddy, I did not feel comfortable being in a leadership role. Being in Big Muddy forces you into those situations where you have to be a leader. And it really taught me some things about leadership.
The abundance that was there, like, just like multiplied, and we could just all see it happening. And it was the farm, but all the Big Muddy people did things like play music and, you know, get involved in the youth garden. And there was just like a lot of community involvement going on that I think is the heart of Big Muddy.
so year 1, big explosion of energy. It's just this beautiful exuberance of life, you know? We're all coming together and learning from each other, everything's so new, it's awesome.
We quickly realized that having plots spread across the city was not a great fit and really logistically challenging. We spent a lot of time driving from plot to plot, forgetting tools at one plot that we needed at the next. And so we eventually closed in our radius of where our plots were.
But originally, yeah, it was a general partnership amongst all of us. And then the second year, it went down when Katie and Tyler left. And then after that, I guess it went down even more.
It was a changing, the whole farm was changing for the better, right? That's the hard thing. We have these romantic views of how things should be, and then the realities of how things need to be able to function and to grow.
And continue to propel me toward farming and like moving to Lincoln with my partner, and like him running a farm there, me working on another farm, and then that propelled us toward farming on our own in Iowa.
And so how could we maintain Big Muddy Urban Farm in a way that it supported young people and people that were just getting into farming to learn in the way that we had, and learn in a hands-on way and adapt with the community, while we were able to go on and pursue our adventures in farming with the skills that we had developed at Big Muddy Urban Farm. So that's kind of where I see it now, launching into this aspiring farmer residency program.
It's the Aspiring Farmer Residency Program, and I want to tell you all about it. So the idea behind it is live, grow, learn. 5 resident farmers will share a house in the Gifford Park neighborhood, located in the heart of Omaha, Nebraska. A complete renovation of the house is underway and will be finished before January, which is when the year-long residency program begins. Right next door is the admin house, which has been completely renovated as well. Within walking distance of the 2 houses are 7 plots where residents grow their market farm business on. 1. A house burned down here 2 years ago, and we've been amending the soil ever since. 2. Chicken coop. 3. Raised beds and high tunnel. 4. The youth garden demonstration plot at the Gifford Park Community Garden. 5. More chickens. 6. Getting back to history at Joslyn Castle. And right across the street from the house is 7. The newest plot in development. Through this hands-on decision-making experience, residents will learn the skills necessary to owning and operating their own market farm.
I'm Taylor Jesperson.
My name is Kaya Beeson.
Terry Salem.
Emily Heffley.
Cadence Hernandez.
My first thought was, what in the heck are they doing? And, you know, I was watching them, and then I got kind of inquisitive because I wanted to know what the heck was going on. And I came over and they told me what they were doing. And I said, well, that's a good deal. I like to see that. And, you know, with the, I call them the youth, of course, at my age bracket, I can call most people youth, but anyhow, with the youth activity that was going on and their involvement with the neighborhood as well as their gardening, it was a good deal. I was all for it, 100%. And I'm still 100% for it. I love it.